I now only have 346 days out of the 365 days I had to become a successful Roblox developer. This week, I worked on creating smooth GUIs that tell the player to complete a certain level before changing size. I worked on a time tracking system that counts the seconds it takes for the user to complete the obby. The future plan is to make a leaderboard that shows who finishes the obby the fastest. I fixed a data bug, which was that players would respawn with the normal size scale at all checkpoints. So if a player was in a stage where the size scale is quadruple the normal scale, when the player respawned, they would do so with the normal size scale. So I had to figure out a way how to save the player's size data to update the user's size whenever they respawned or joined the game. Even though it seems very straightforward what I worked on this week, there were a bunch of issues in between each thing I worked on. And considering that I'm still a newbie at coding, it took triple the amount of time it should have. I also hit a few bumps while I worked in the game. For example, I had accidentally deleted a script that makes some objects disappear over time, so I had to redo that. Saving data to Roblox's cloud was also a hassle. It took a long time to figure it out, and there's still so much I don't know about. For example, I learned that I can only do 60 data requests a minute for each server, and I was already hitting that limit by myself in Studio. Part of the problem is that I'm asking Roblox to fetch my player's data multiple times throughout the gameplay. I can fix this by copying the data to the player and using that data. Then when the player leaves, the player gets the data from the player back and saves it to the cloud. I did not do this, I just do this so that the game asks for the player data from the cloud less times. But in the future, I will use this optimized idea though. Yeah, that didn't work out great. I worked on a really awesome UI to reset the player data if the player wants to, for some Robux of course. Shout out to Byblocks who made an awesome video about making a 3D interactive UI. If I remember, the video will be linked in the description below. Anyways, I finished this really awesome UI and made all the buttons have an animation. But then came time to work on resetting the player's data. To do it, I would have to get the data from Roblox's cloud, and I don't want to overwhelm the system. So I was forced to figure out a way to save the data to the player and use it throughout the gameplay. It shouldn't be hard, or so I thought. It actually took me a while, and there were some bugs I had to fix, but eventually I did it. After fixing the data issues, I worked on resetting the player data if they choose to purchase the dev product, and it was simpler than I thought it was going to be. But there was an unexpected twist. Apparently, purchase can fail, so I have to track purchases in data store services to know whether a purchase was successful or not. I was already tired when I was working on this, and I watched a YouTube video that was great at explaining how to do this, but I did not understand. I'm not gonna lie, I just copied what the video said was best and left it at that. But I'm sure I'm gonna have to pay more attention later though, when I make more dev products for other games. But anyways, I did it. I finished the resetting data product. That is it for this past week. I still have some things I want to finish for the game, like making an arrow that appears above the next checkpoint the player must go to, not letting the player's stage change if they die and part of their body touches the next checkpoint, and finally, doing the global leaderboard system that shows who finishes the obby the fastest. Honestly, I have no idea how the global leaderboard works or how it will look like, but I will work on that next time. Also, if you stayed till the end of this video, know that I will be giving out something to the player that finishes the obby the fastest, hence the global leaderboard system. I don't know what it is yet, but there is a reward, so stay tuned.